SmashFactor.
Ripping driver, going for it. Oh my goodness. How about that tee shot?
That is crazy how far that is.
Wow. John Daly, take a back seat, big fella. How about that drive?
That's an aggressive line. Man, that is beyond long.
Look at this, he's just driven the green. He has just driven the green.
I guess hello world, huh?
Welcome everybody back to the SmashFactor, the 2019 Tournament of Champions Kapalua edition for the SmashFactor. As always, the host of the the sponsor of the SmashFactor is AmpCaddy. We are brought to you by AmpCaddy, which go to ampcaddy.com. Get your regularly priced $109.99 AmpCaddy. Get it for $89.99 with the promo code SMASH. We use ours all on the course. They're awesome. I use them driving around my neighborhood. It's great. You can use them outside. They're awesome. As always, I'm your host, Michael Ruvy. You can catch me on Twitter at Michael Ruvy. I'm here with my other two hosts as well, Gup. You can catch him on Twitter at I am the Gup. And you can catch Bucks on Twitter at BPSnow11. And we do have a bunch of great affiliates associated with the SmashFactor. Go to fansharesports.com. Get the pro advantage at fansharesports.com. Also, Fantasy National, use the tools that we use at fantasynational.com/gup, or go to our affiliates page on our website at gupscorner.com, and you guys can catch those there. You can also follow Gups Corner on Twitter at Gups Corner. You can catch us on Instagram at facebook.com/gupscorner as well. So please follow us on all those. Let us know what we can do better on those. And as always, we really appreciate the rate and review on iTunes. And now, since we are on YouTube, please like hit that like button on YouTube as well. And we will have some announcements on the YouTube end here coming up pretty soon. But we will, for anybody that reviews on iTunes and rates us as well, you will be entered into a contest that is worth over $250 prize pack from different courses around the United States that we are all traveling to, as well as some other prizes that we will explain later. But it's up to over $250. You have up until the Masters this year to review. So please do that now. But I'm here with my co-host, Gup. How are you doing today?
Doing well. Just got back from Vegas last night around 2 a.m. So a little tired, a little exhausted, but big day to get the golf going. College football bowl season wrapping up. A lot of games today and tomorrow, so that'll be kind of distractions. Then grinding on golf. Spent most of the night at the airport while I was waiting in delays, working on this week's stuff, and excited to get going for it. Looking forward to next week as well, for first full slate tournament. But this one's always a fun tournament to watch. And the GC Cup gets fired up with this week and one and done next week. So we're all right there and ready to get going.
Yeah. Bucks, how are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome, man. It is. We've talked about it for a little while, and we introduced our season preview podcast last week, and so I'm super pumped to get the season started this week with the Tournament of Champions. So pumped for the season.
Yeah, I'm jacked up as well. Obviously, I don't do the football podcast with you guys because Tambo's great and your guys, the coin flip is awesome there. But yeah, I'm just super excited to get back into golf. I've been obsessing over it for a while because football just ain't my thing, I guess. But so we'll just go on. Today on the podcast, we're pretty much just going to go over the Tournament of Champions at Kapalua. Pretty simple. We don't have anything to review from the past because this is the first tournament really of 2019, obviously. We've had a couple weeks off. We didn't really preview the hero, so we will get straight into it then with the course preview for Kapalua. Bucks, take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. So as Ruvy mentioned, this is the Century Tournament of Champions this week at Kapalua on the Plantation course. This course is 7,400 yards. Par 73, though, the only course they play all year is a par 73, which is interesting. It seems long, but because of the elevation changes and typically wind, it plays much shorter. It's Bermuda all over the golf course. Green sizes are 8,000 square feet. Tour average is 6,500. So these are massive greens, very, very undulating greens. The green speeds, because of the wind and the undulations, are always kept at like a 9.5 to a 10, which is probably the slowest they see on tour all year, because they just can't get them rolling any faster, or they'll have some unfair pins that the balls will just roll off the slopes. It's happened before. They've had to postpone tournament days because the greens just couldn't hold balls. As far as fairway width, this is something that we track every event. This is by far the widest fairways they'll see all year. It's over 50 yards per fairway on average. And so pretty much, I mean, you're going to see guys hitting these fairways at 10, 15% higher clip than normal, which is just so when Core and Crenshaw built this golf course in 1991, they understood that. They wanted this to be a second shot golf course. They wanted the tournaments to be won on and around the greens. And we've seen that. So this is a fun event, and it's meant to be a fun event. So out of the last 18 years, 11 years has gone better than 20 under. And 2 of those 18 years, we've seen 30 under or better, which is just absurd. So expect to see some crazy scoring. This is a very undulating golf course, very hilly in Hawaii. And so we're going to see a lot of that. It's a physical challenge, but it's a fun event. I mean, there's only 30 some golfers in this event. It's not like this is a mental grind for 4 days. These guys are out here enjoying some vacation and some prize money.
Yeah, good stuff. Gup, do you have anything to add to that?
No, not with the course. It's all
Great.
Bucks.
Great. Just yeah, it's like you said, Bucks. It's up on top of the mountain of Maui right there, so it's just a cool course. But yeah, do you want to update us on what the weather is looking like, Bucks?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so there actually is a station, a weather station on the property there, called Honolulu Bay, and from looking at the weather earlier, and this is obviously something that you should look at in the days up to the event, but as of right now, from a temperature perspective, it looks awesome. Low 80s. Thursday and Friday look like it's going to be very windy, so 20 to 30 mile an hour winds all day long, and that plays into some advantages for the golf course, but there's also holes that are played directly into the wind, which makes it a lot tougher. And the greens will be a little bit more difficult to play because of that wind. You have to play the wind when it's that high on these undulating greens. But overall, it's going to be pretty beautiful. Super windy the first 2 days, but this is a no-cut event. The weekend, you're going to see a little wind, and the Sunday is almost no wind, which is super rare for Hawaii this time of year. So I personally think that, let's just say going into Sunday, the leaders are at like 15 under, something like that. I think there's a 61 out there or something, 62 out there on Sunday because there's no wind whatsoever.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that the wind is the defense, right, for this course.
Yeah.
With these type
absolutely.
of players.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you get pin locations because the greens are so big and undulating. It's really about pin locations and the weather. That's it. This is meant to be a score fest. It's meant to be exciting.
Yep. It's a vacation, so they meant to play it like that, I assume.
Yeah,
let's get into this week's DraftKings segment then, with the locks, blocks, and flops of the TOC at Kapalua. Gup, why don't you start us off with what key stats you're looking at?
Yeah, so they're going to be pretty similar this week, probably amongst the industry. Really spent a lot of the offseason, quote unquote, working on fine-tuning the rankings, back testing some of the, I pulled results from after each tournament was over so I could compare rankings, and then my Gup secret sauce that kind of got in middle of the year I fine-tuned it to the point I'm going to be including it full-time into the rankings. So I post all that tonight. It'll be Monday night when I'll post up for everybody to take a look at and kind of see there's a few tweaks that happen in there, but this tournament, no cut event, as Buck said, it's really, there's going to be, and we'll mention it throughout the pod, there's going to be times you're going to have to make a gut decision or figure out one way or the other, because unless you're doing 100, 150 lineups in the, $5 or something like that, and you just mix and match almost everybody, there's going to be pluses and minuses to almost every guy out here. Me personally, I'm looking at approach as my number one stat driver, ball striking, strokes gained par 5, birdies or better gained, bogeys avoided, and then I have a putting model in there, just looking at a few different factors of all the putting combined. I have brought in the rolling stats, so I do a rolling stat model as well, and they're now a permanent segment of my 4 core. So I'm going 55% stats, 10% recent form, 25% course history, and 10% on the rolling stat model. And the rolling stat model gets posted with these rankings into, if you're new to Gups Corner or golf or anything like that, all that will come out together. So those are kind of my factors. I think, historically, first timers probably struggle, and mainly it's because of the greens, as Bucks mentioned. So guys that have played multiple times and done well, not only here but Sony, get a little uptick with the course history for me. Recent form, at this point, there's such a gap that I don't pay much attention to it. And I looked at last year's Tournament of Champions, which I did well in DraftKings, and didn't pay much there either. So it's really just kind of focusing on the stats I like, and then a couple of outliers.
Bucks, how about you? Anything different than what Gup said there?
Yeah, a little bit. Largely the same. I think my big focus, because this is a no-cut event, because the fairways are 50 to 75 yards wide, which is just bananas, I think there's a huge correlation to DK points to scoring, par 5 scoring, driving distance, I think is huge, obviously. And then, like Gup said, and like I mentioned earlier, I believe this is a second shot golf course. And so you're going to have guys hitting 80+% of these fairways because they're so wide. If you can get a guy that's hitting a short iron in versus a 8 iron in to some of these greens, that's a big advantage. But I still think you need to be conscious and use proximity as one of your core stats. So like for me, I'm looking at all the scoring stats. I'm looking at par 5 scoring stats, driving distance, but I have a big focus on proximity because these greens are so massive and so undulating. You have to hit the ball close to leave yourself makeable putts. And guys going 20 to 30 under, you need to make a lot of putts this week.
Yeah, obviously, I think that Gup even said it, that a lot of people are going to have similar stats. It's just how you kind of pick them. But I did have tee to green in mind, and I don't know if that's as important as I think it is. So maybe that differentiates me in a little bit. But I did do tee to green, but I do have most of the other ones. I think I also added greens in regulation gained, even though it's not. I don't know how relevant it is. I'm just trying to get some kind of differentiation, I think, from the rest of the people. And what I've seen in the past is greens in regulation gained here did have a little bit of an effect, but I guess that's why you play the game. Now, Gup, I know that you wanted to quickly talk about this as well as a contest strategy for a 34-person field with no cut. Tell people how you're going to approach this differently than a 144-person cut event.
I know you're not going to say exactly what you're doing and who you're playing, but I was going at was, my approach is the exact same. I come to the same, system and rankings, or just less guys to rank. And me personally playing, the one thing you may notice on a week like this is because of the less variations of lineups, if you have a winning lineup, in most cases, it can win in several different contests. Whereas, on a full week, the $5 lineup, or the guy, if you play the 33 or 333 or 153 max or something like that, it's not going to be near as close to what the $5 is. So, those are two different strategies for me. Whereas this week, I kind of just pick which contest I want to get in on, how many lineups I want to build, because I think the variation between winning scores isn't going to be as much. So on a normal week, I got to put, 50 to 100 lineups in a $5 to be equal to the field. Kind of goes back to the contest pod that the Bucks and I did this week. I think, and Bucks mentions a lot last year, I think, if you have the nuts, the $5 may win the 150 and may win the 33, may win the 333 and so on. So I may be a little bit more active among different contests. Bankroll wise, I will definitely not have full go out the gate in a no-cut event. We hadn't seen these guys play competitive golf in many weeks, and for some guys, 2 months now, if they didn't play much in the fall swing. And then some guys have been over in Europe. So, definitely go with caution, or at least have your bankroll strategy we discussed in the pod and stick to your normal. Don't get crazy because it's the first golf event of the year. I don't normally do the $5. These type of events are, like the WGC events as well, are ones I sometimes drop, 40, 60 lineups in it, just because low variations in lineups, and I can, build and take a couple risks and see if it works out. And I think it's 50,000 up top at the $5. So it's worth kind of maybe throwing some in there, but my regular contests are going to be kind of the same strategy. And just as we get through this list here, there's just going to be hard stances you have to take if you're in a 1 to 3 max type of deal, and just fade or pivot or do something different than what everybody else is doing.
Bucks, anything else to add to that?
Not really. I mean, I think in these scenarios, small field, no cut, you need to have a tight core. Pick your spots, whether you believe it's going to be chalky or not. Pick the guys that you trust in, and then move some other pieces around them that you think may be a little more contrarian at lower ownership or something like that. I mean, you're going to see guys, and we'll mention them later, like a guy like Tway at $6,500. He's going to be uber chalk this week, I believe, because he's popping on the stat model. He can score, and he's 6,500. So I think that's a guy that's going to be super, super popular at $6,500. But if that's a guy that you're all about, then go ahead and play him and trust it. Don't move off of him just because you want to be a little different, or you want to get out of ownership, something like that. But I think there needs to be one piece in your lineup that is not going to be super chalk this week. And it's going to be tough to do, which is why I would say focus on the guys you like, and whatever happens, happens. You got to be comfortable with the lineup you put in there, and you got to trust your process and what you're doing.
Yeah, my only strategy, and that's different probably in these events, is I go less, just because I'm not as confident in these ones. I feel sometimes the no cut just hurts me. So I haven't really got a great grasp on it. So I just go less of a bankroll right now, which is just, what you guys have talked about with your money management. So I go less. How about we get into this week's lock of the week? Now, our lock of the week is over 10,000 in DraftKings. I don't think we have a lot of options this week, but there are some. Gup, who is your lock of the week over 10,000 on DraftKings?
I mean, it's going to be DJ. Obviously, won here last year. He's first in my stat model, first in course history model, second in rolling stat model. A break-even analysis on my Gup's corner, or my Gup secret sauce still, and mainly because he's number one across the board. So, I mean, if he shows up and he's ready to play, we've seen what he's done. He did well at Sony as well last year. I mentioned it in the preview pod that I think a lot of people felt, without digging in, that DJ probably had a down year last year just by, and Bucks nailed it because he's always up there at the top. And so when he doesn't, perform or outperform, sometimes it gets felt like he's not doing well, but he ended the year number one in DK points per tournament and 3 wins. And I just think people forget how good he is when he's on. And, For the other guys up there, they'll probably be hard fades for me for the most part, JT and Brooks. So I don't mind playing DJ and certainly, matching with what'll probably be chalky, and just go overweight on them if I have to. And I like some different plays in the next level that may allow me to just kind of pivot off of what may be chalk this week. But DJ would be my lock.
Bucks, how about you?
Yeah, I like DJ as well, but my lock's going to be Justin Thomas. I think it's a toss-up between him and DJ for me, but I really like the clip at which JT makes eagles, and I think that's huge here. So this is a guy that is in the category of one of the longest players on tour, and I think he's going to give himself a ton of opportunities. But the cool thing about Thomas is how good he is with his short irons. It's same as DJ, but again, I think at $500 savings, Justin Thomas with his propensity to make a bunch of eagles and his track history here, I'm going to go with Justin Thomas. What about you?
I'm going with DJ at he's number one in my model, but he's number one in tee to green for me. Ball striking, birdies are better gained. I did have par 4 and the short par 4s in there as a scoring as well. And yeah, he's number one in my model. So DJ for me. Now I guess we can get to this later. We'll get to it later. How about your flocks? Now, if you don't know what the flocks are, that is our core group that we are targeting for this week on a Monday, remember, for a Thursday tournament. But it is our core group that right now we are targeting on DraftKings. So we're picking each of us is picking 3. Gup, how about you for your core group, your flocks?
Yeah. There's not a ton of just elite talent down low. I mean, you think of this tournament being previous winners from the past year, but I don't think you can go stars and scrubs here. And if some do, then that would be probably a benefit to me because that's not necessarily. I think balance may be a little bit more the way to go. I mean, when you throw a DJM, you got to go low somewhere. So picking. And Bucks nailed it earlier, having a tight player pool this week. There's 34 guys, I believe, with the 3 withdrawals.
Yep.
If you're going to do 20 liners or whatever it is, picking that player pool where you eliminate, 14, 15 of these guys, that's probably the best way to go. And then just build your lineups from there to, depending on if you're doing 10 or 20 lineups in that way. You don't get caught up of trying to play everybody, and you just pick a level. If it's under 6,000, and you go in there and you pick 2 or whatever it is that you're just going to ride with, and that's why we've mentioned from the start that conservative this week. Don't blow your wad, and if those 2 hit, you've got them virtually in every kind of combination instead of having all the 6,000 mixed in. There's different strategies there depending on where your rankings come out or what you personally think, but. The guys that I'm going to key on, number 1 is Kuchar. I like him a lot at 7,600. And you mentioned this is on the Monday. So, the big deal for flocks for me that when I change, if I pivot, the number 1 thing that factors out is ownership by the time we get to the chat on Wednesday nights. And I announce it and tell people, hey, I was big on Kuchar on Monday, but now he's looking to be uber chalk. And in a tournament like this, I'll just pivot off of something like that. If someone that's right there in my rankings, like Bubba's a few down from Kuchar, and so if Bubba's going to go under the radar, I may pivot there just to have the exposure advantage. I really love Gary Woodland this week. He's on my radar betting wise as well, not only this week but for the year. Talked about him in the preview. Felt like he came on strong at the end of the year. And this course kind of sets up for his game. Averaged 108 points on DraftKings last week. So in this type of tournament where it's going to take big number, I think DJ had 149 points last year when he won it. He looks good there. He started my rolling stats and 7th in my stats. So at 8,000, I like him. And then the last one, really like how he finished as well, and it's Keegan. Obviously, I had him at the 125-1 ticket when he won there at the end of the year. So I like where his game's at here. Definitely worry about the putting. So it's kind of a risk with Keegan because he has to be the proximity part the Bucks mentioned earlier has to be on for him. He's not. I don't think he's going to go and light up a bunch of lanes.
The crazy thing about Keegan is he's not a long player by any stretch of the imagination, but he's top 5 in Eagles made all of last year.
Dude, I mean, we saw. Were you there with those Bucks? You were. Gup, you were there, but at Torrey Pines, he hit the best 3-iron hybrid I've ever seen on 18 at Torrey Pines last year on Sunday. We're sitting there, and he had to be like 280 out, 270 out, and put it like 4 feet. So, and that's a par 5 there. So,
yeah, the negative against him right now, because I like Billy Horschel as well, who's right underneath that. But when you get a 34-man field, you could probably pick through all of them. But Keegan hadn't played here, and so I typically don't like getting on guys that haven't played this course yet. But there's a lot of guys this year that hadn't played it, so you're going to have some exposure depending on the talent level. So those are the 3 that are just kind of in my core as of right now. Keegan, Woodland, and Kuchar that I'll kind of build around.
Bucks, how about you for your flocks?
Yeah, so my 3, I already mentioned. I've already mentioned him once previously, but the 3 that I really like this week is going to be Phil Mickelson, cheaper option, $7,200. But
Phil's not playing.
Oh, is he out?
Yeah, he's out.
Good. So Bubba Watson, then lefty, another guy that I love this week. You already mentioned Woodland. I freaking love Woodland. The dude sets up perfect for this week. I think that his driving distance, his eagle rate, his par 5 scoring are all where I want it to be. And so that's definitely going to be up there for me. And then Cam Champ at 8,100 is a guy that I expect to be popular, and for good reason. I mean, these fairways are 65 yards wide. He can basically hit it anywhere that he wants, as far as he wants, and give himself a 20, 30-yard advantage on most of the field on every hole. And I think that's a massive, massive advantage. I do think he's going to be popular, though, so I'm going to limit my exposure to him. But I like that a lot. And then another guy that I'm all over this week, and he was my lock, but he's going to be in my core, is going to be Justin Thomas. What about you, Ruvy?
Yeah, I've got 3 guys right now that I really like a lot. I'll start it off. I love Aaron Wise. We'll get to it later in the betting segment, but Aaron Wise is my number 1 guy that I'm not playing a ton of lineups this week, but he might be in every one of them. So I'm going to start there. I'm not going to rehash what Gup said about Kuchar, because Kuchar is in there as well. And then my 3rd guy, Gup briefly mentioned him, but it's Billy Horschel as well. I like Billy Horschel in the 30-man field. The only thing that scares me a little on Horschel is his birdie or better gained is not great compared to the field. If I had to go up top for a guy that I would put in my core, it would be John Rahm. But I'm a Rahm liker. Obviously, we know that. So I'm going to decide on him. Yeah, he has. He has a 2nd place finish here last year. So coming off the Hero win, he's playing. His recent form has to be up there. I might go on to him depending on his ownership later in the week. But Gup, how about your flops of the week? 2 of them. And if anybody doesn't know what our flops of the week are, it's who we think is not going to hit their value, essentially. And it's, but we could switch to these guys depending on ownership. This is Monday, remember? So I just want to reiterate that. But Gup, how about your flops of the week?
Yeah, my first one is Brooks. I did this last year some, and I got made fun of a lot, but more times than not, outside the majors, he gets priced up there so high, and he has to return, a good round that, and I don't know where his mentality is going to be. He's probably motivated, a little bit active on Twitter towards the end of the year, but he just doesn't fit very well in my stat model. Like, he's 26th in this field for me, and to be the 3rd highest priced guy, he's just not up there. The hard part about Brooks, and I always put it in the back of my mind when I'm looking at him, is because of his inability to be consistent, it's hard to drive your predictions on him just from the stats because he just doesn't care sometimes. He did play this last year and almost finished last.
This is the one he got hurt at.
Okay,
he hurt his wrist. So that is you're right. He did almost get last, but he did get hurt his wrist and then didn't play till after the Masters because of that.
Yeah, and been on a break now. Didn't play much. I think the WGC was the only one last tournament he had, but mainly in my stat model. I mean, just that difference there gives me I'm just going to take it, and I think he won't return value this week at 10,002, and so I'm going to fade him. My second one is a toss-up between a couple guys. This one will be it's going to be Bryson, and it's a flop on. I think he's going to be, if not I think he'll probably be the highest owned. I've heard a couple other names kind of popping up, in the last 24 hours. Patrick Reed's been up there, but I think Bryson, and I like Bryson. Bryson may be a guy that I bet. I'm sure he doesn't have great odds right now, but
12, yeah.
And I won't put in DraftKings. He finished 26th last year here. Just a lot of variables for his game, and maybe the course didn't suit his eye. And so even though he's kind of coming in pretty good form for the field, the rolling stat and the stat model, he's 32nd out of 34 and 34 out of 34 out of this field for me in my stat model. And so at 8,700, it's kind of that I'm going to take a stand on one guy that kind of allows me to, as Bucks mentioned, I can be some chalky and build if I know, say I have zero exposure to Bryson. That's making me different from the builds of the majority or a big chunk of people already. And so I kind of get to be more creative and free-handed. So that's kind of the two guys I'm looking at right now is Bryson and Brooks.
Bucks, how about you?
Yeah, so Brooks was going to be one of mine for a lot of the things that Gup said. I think at his price, I like a lot of the other players around him better, even Bryson. And I know Gup just mentioned him, but I'm a Bryson fan this week because of his propensity to score. But so Brooks will be the first one. The second one, and this is obviously going against you guys, is going to be Kuchar. From what I look at this course, when I look at this course, he doesn't fit the player mold that I'm looking at. And from a stats perspective, from a scoring perspective, birdies are better gained. And I'm looking at, because it's the first event of the year, I'm not looking at just the rolling stat model. I'm looking at all of last year. He had trouble scoring. And if you look at his last 8 events in the United States, he has one top 25 finish. And so for me, and the way that I'm thinking about the course, for me, even at 7,600, which normally I would say is value for that guy, in this field, I think that he struggles. So that's going to be one of my flops.
My flop, my first one, I'm not going to piggyback on the Brooks ones just because, but I'm not, he is one, but I'll go with Jason Day first. I never get Jason Day right, and I don't know what Jason Day is going to show up ever. It could be the Jason Day that shoots. He could go 30 under here. He has that ability here, but
he's been struggling, man.
Yeah, he just hasn't been right. He wasn't right last year, but I know he won. What did he win? The Farmers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he contended at a couple others. I'm just not on Jason Day. I don't know where his head's at. My second one, I wanted to go Bryson a little because it doesn't really fit my model either. He's really at the bottom, but I'm going to go Brandt Snedeker at 7,400. And my reasoning on this one is, and I even got into a good discussion on Twitter with a couple guys, but I think that he's the most overrated win player in golf. When Brandt Snedeker won the Torrey Pines in 2016, everybody's like, "Oh my God, he played so great in this huge win." And Brandt Snedeker was in the clubhouse when the big win came in, and everybody, the next 10 guys after him, the best score was 76, and he shot a 69 to win by 1. JB Holmes fell apart. KJ Choi, these guys, they got this huge wind, and ever since then, Brandt Snedeker has this moniker around him that he's this great wind player. And the stats, when I look up on Fantasy National, the stats don't prove that. It shows that he's a better player when it's not as windy as it's going to be Thursday and Friday here at Kapalua. So I'm not on Snedeker. I know he has a good course history here, but Snedeker is a fade of mine this week as well. Gup, how about your sleeper for the week? Now, our sleeper for us is to find anyone on DraftKings below 7,000. So below 7,000, Gup, who's your sleeper below 7,000?
Go with the guy, finished 4th at the WGC here in the fall swing, $6,600. Andrew Putnam.
Oh, yep.
I like him. Hits the stat model. I think he's top 5 in my secret sauce model that I'm, working on. Plus minus 21 ranking on DK versus my ranking. Just, I'm going to have to take some chances down there, depending on how the builds go. And my next best under 6 is Kevin Tway, who I feel will be pretty chalky, as Bucks mentioned earlier. So Putnam's, right above him, and I like him a lot to, hopefully be a little bit different than where some people wind up going. I mean, he's not just off the charts good, but rolling stat model, he's 5th. Stats overall, he's 9th. Course history, he hasn't played it, so that obviously is a worry. But for 6,600, you're gonna find negative on any of these guys down there, and so that's the guy I'm gonna go with.
Bucks, how about you?
Yeah, for me, and I already mentioned him. Even though he's going to be a chalk bum, I'm going to go with Kevin Tway, $6,500. I think there's a few players down here that I would put in the category of can take it deep and real deep, and Tway fits that model here. He is top 5 in driving distance, top 10 in par 5 scoring, top 15 in eagles. And so this is a guy that can take it low. He has trouble with the big number and keeping it in play, but here with these wide ass fairways, I don't think it's going to be an issue. So I think Kevin Tway is kind of one of those super cheap, high upside guys that I'm going to be targeting, even though he's going to be chalk. I'll find some differentiation somewhere else.
Yeah, Gup has my highest ranked 6,000 guy at Putnam, so I'll go a little different, and it's a guy that I think I tweeted never him again, and but in this field I'm thinking Scott Piercy, which Scott Piercy is a very good wind player, very good with his wedges. He's just one of the world's worst putters. So, I guess this is something that we can quickly discuss. Is I'm tempted for Kazire at 6,200, and that's weird. I know he won last year in Hawaii. He seems to be getting back a little bit of form, and at 6,200, I feel like if you're going to differentiate yourself if you play Kazire, right? He has played this before, obviously, so I don't know how great he did. I think
15th.
Yeah. So he was middle of the field. So I don't know how bad it is, but those are the 3 that I'll look at there. But I
actually like Kazire this week. Just super low owned, super cheap, but super small field, no cut. So you can get a little more weird than expected. So.
Yep, and a historically good Bermuda putter. But Gup, how about the next one we're going to go to?
Quick head-to-heads.
Let's go some head-to-head picks real fast. I'll name some off real fast, and you guys can give me who you did, and I'll just round it up at the end. So the first one, I think we all know the answer to this one, is Dustin Johnson or Brooks Koepka. We've kind of gone over that. So
DJ.
I assume we're all on DJ, right, Gup?
Yeah, DJ.
All righty. This will be an interesting one because I've seen this name is really popular so far on Twitter so far, is Jon Rahm versus Rory. Gup, how about you? Who do you like there?
I like Rory. I think if Rory can be under the radar, I think he's going to be under the radar. I mentioned that in my write-up for the preseason preview. So anytime, and I don't mind, if I don't have a DJ lineup and I'm going to start, I could start at Rory and build down from there and have no problem with it. I like Rahm, but I bet Rahm's could be twice as much as Rory owned in certain spots, depending on the type of contest you're in. And that could be a narrative. By the time we get there, everybody could flip. because of what they hear. But he's second in my stat model. He's number one in my rolling stat model. The one negative against Rory compared to Rom for me is that Rom played here last year, and this is Rory's first time ever.
Mm-hmm.
So that does worry me a little bit. But other than that, I'll take Rory.
Bucks?
I'm going Rom. I like Rom a lot this week. Dude's a straight up scorer. And with these fairways being as wide as they are, he's going to unleash some bombs this week. So I like him a lot.
He's my pick for player of the year. So let's start it off with a win and get my Rom boner going real good. Yeah, so I'll just go Rom. I do like that he played here last year. This one, we're going to pick one of three. I'm going to name three names. You pick one of three. I think this will be an interesting one. Patrick Reed, Cameron Champ, Gary Woodland. Gup, go ahead and lead us off.
Yeah, I'm going Woodland. When Bucks was talking earlier about Champ, the one thing I was going to say was Woodland, it would be my pivot off of Champ. But if for some reason we get to Wednesday and Champ's going to be the everybody fade because I think he's going to be chalky type deal, I certainly can't argue with the kid's skill set and what he can bring. And he's one of those elite talents that I'm not worried about. This is his first time seeing this place at all. Just like Rom last year, Rom had never seen it and he got second. So I'm not afraid of Champ, but if he's going to be 40-something% in some of these contests, I would pivot to Woodland all day.
Bucks?
Okay. Yeah, so for me, I'm going to go Champ. I mean, it's super, super close. So the weird thing, and I think these three are great. So one, you have Reed, who his course history here is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Woodland, who for me is kind of like a perfect fit. I view him as another, less talented version as DJ. But then you have Champ that just from a ceiling perspective, I'm not sure there's any other guy in the field. Well, maybe DJ or Thomas. I just don't think there's many other guys in the field that have his ceiling. And so I'm going to go with him.
Yeah, like you said, Reed, his course history is great. I think you could make a great team by starting with these three guys, by the way, if you wanted to just start with 8,000 guys. But I'll go Gary Woodland as well. That'll be mine of those three.
Okay.
How about this is an interesting one, the 7,500, 7,600 range, or 7,700, I guess. Mark Leishman or Aaron Wise? Gup.
I'm going to go Wise. He rates out a lot better than Leishman does for me in this field. He's a smaller sample size in my model, so that I always take that under consideration. I do like a potentially Leishman as a first-round leader with the wind.
Yep, he was first-round leader last year. We hit that one.
I did, yep. I'm not off of Leishman, but for a full tournament play in DraftKings, I would go Wise.
Bucks?
Yeah, I would go – I personally like Leishman more. I can see you picking both because of Wise's upside, the way he's currently been playing, but I like Leishman a lot.
And my pick was Wise. He was my first bet of the week. So how about Chucky Three Sticks or Billy Horschel? Gup.
Horschel, this one's easy for me. He's up there. He's going to be right there in the bubble of a core for me. Sixth in my model overall. Really like where he's at 7,000. I'll have plenty of Horschel this week.
Bucks?
Yeah, this is a tough one for me. But I would probably say Horschel just because of how good his proximity numbers are with the short irons.
Yep, clean sweep there. Tway or Putnam? Gup.
Putnam. Yep. I already kind of mentioned that with the sleeper, but yeah, Putnam. But I like both, and it's close. I think Tway will be 8 to 10 percentage points higher potentially on ownership. Maybe 6 to 8. 10 may be a lot, but I'll take Putnam.
And Bucks, I think you're going Tway. Yep.
Tway for
and
me.
I'll go Putnam. All righty, that'll wrap up that. We don't have that many because it's not that big a field. We don't want to go over every one of them, but we'll get into the betting strategy now. We will have a reminder that there will be an E9, emergency 9 on Wednesday, 7 o'clock my time. So that's 7 Mountain time. So 9 Eastern. Is that correct, Gup?
Correct. 9 o'clock Eastern.
9 Eastern. Yep. We'll be on gupscorner.com on the chat room there. We'll go over head-to-head matchups on there as well. But if you have the questions on that. But Gup, do you have any bets so far on Tournament of Champions to this point for the full tournament?
No, I don't have any bets officially placed. I'll have my betting card out like I did every week last year. They tend to get them out a little earlier in this. I think you said first round leader was up on yours, but it's not up on 5 dimes yet. But the full card will be out by Wednesday. Obviously, I'll have what I started doing last year because of line movement is I try to lock in the outright, potentially first round leaders, get those out, and then come back with the full tournament matchups, 3 balls, stuff like that. So everything will be out by Wednesday, but I don't have a bet yet. I was kind of waiting to finalize some of my rankings things and then look at a couple of this is a tournament to me that's there's no value in betting up top. No. A third of the field is less than 20-1 or 20-1 and less. And so unless you're going to take a couple just darts and hope, but I would go low. Right. And so I one thing that, to preach, there's a lot of industry guys who've traditionally been DraftKings only that are now that are introducing betting, which is great because betting's against the book. So we can all cheer for each other and root on. The one thing you got to remember and go back to our betting podcast is a lot of these guys are not putting out units and risk and amount won and betting strategies and bankroll management and everything you find in Gup's Corner. And it's nothing against him. I'm just saying you can blind tell people all you want, but if you're not being responsible with how you bet, I can come in here and tell you, yeah, I like DJ, Rory, and Bryson. But what amount of whatever volume you're using, whether it's a unit, a star, it doesn't really matter. You have to have a strategy with those bets to say, I'm going to put this amount on DJ, this amount on Brooks, this, and what's your return on that amount? Like just saying I hit Brooks to win. Well, who else did you bet? What was your total return? And so I'm not going to call people out. That's not our style or what I do, but I'm trying to educate the people that are coming to Gup's Corner to say, if you hear these people and they're doing it, my one advice would be to ask for their value and what they're putting into it, because you want to see, is there even money to be made on these high guys like this week especially. Having said all that, the first value obviously kind of came down to was Woodland. I heard he was a lot higher and he's kind of come down, which that's fine, but 22-1 is not terrible. I honestly think the winner comes out of 4 or 5 guys up there at the top. And so I'm not going to spend just a ton. I may have 2 or 3 outrights. I think I could have an advantage on a couple of first round leaders, and those odds are a little bit better in time. So I may nip there a little bit. A guy that really didn't get mentioned at all in the pod so far, but I do like his overall game and coming into 2019 is Webb. He's 22-1 potentially. So down low, under 30, those would be 2 guys I may look at. Again, I'm going to be very selective this week. Not much bankroll put in at all, just because you got so much guys up there at the top that are more likely to win, and you just don't want to waste a bunch of bankroll this week.
Bucks, do you have anybody you're looking at right now?
Yeah, I agree with Gup, man. This tournament is so top heavy, being a small field, that it's tough to really pick any of those top guys or even the middle guys. And so for me, I'm probably going to make a couple bets that for guys with a little higher odds or lower odds, I guess. First might be Bubba Watson at 33 or around there. And then Kevin Tway, I don't know what you guys are seeing him at, but I'm seeing him at like 120, 125, something like that. I think there's value. Yeah, I think there's value there. I think he's a guy that can compete and go low. And so I'd take a flyer on him, but I'm not going to go and play DJ, Rory, frickin' Justin Thomas, and Rahm and be like, oh, I got the winner, because that's BS. So I'm going to take a couple of shots at guys at flyers in a very small field and hope one hits, and that's it.
Yeah, and that, and definitely not calling out our industry brethrens. I have no issue with any of these guys that are coming into the betting world. I've been doing it 3-4 years now, all tracked and documented, and huge returns at the end of the year. This is the last day of 2018, and unless something crazy happens, I'm going to, for the first time ever, finish over 100 units of profit for the season for all sports. And so, for me, it's just if we're going to compare, let's do apples to apples. But now another strategy, and guys may take this approach, and I've done this with DJ before. I did it, I think, at Memphis. If I just feel like one of those guys is it, that may be my only bet. And I go, hey, I'm going to put half a unit on one guy down here, low shot, and if he wins it, great. I'll return me some units for the. If not, that's it. You can't take a low guy and then spread out 4 or 5 other guys, because if the low guy wins, you're almost going to be break even on all your other bets. So you can take one of these guys if that's a potential strategy. Anywhere from 20 to 1 or under champ, something like that. If you just think they're going to win, you throw half a unit on it and that's it. That's not. I mean, you can do that. That's certainly feasible. But I personally, don't see enough value in those guys this week that I'm going to go, like Buck said, obviously like Putnam. He's my number one low guy. So at 125 to 1, yeah, I'll throw a little on him. A Keegan Bradley type. Kuchar for me, because I kind of liked him. I'll pick 2 or 3 of those kind of guys, mix them in. If they hit, great. It's going to be low risk and a potential big reward. And then these other guys, I'm going to be cheering for them to win, because I'm probably going to be loaded up on them on DraftKings. So, type of a win-win type there.
Yeah, that's my strategy this week. Is I bet Wise at 33 and Kuchar at 55, and I'll probably throw half of what I threw on them on Putnam. Actually, on Bovada, he's 175 to 1.
Nice.
So I'll do those 3, and then I'll load up on the other guys on DraftKings. Like I said, I'll probably have those guys too on DraftKings. But I like that strategy where I'm not going anything lower than Wise, unfortunately. But maybe some of the first round leaders like a Leishman or Woodland first round leaders, 22 to 1. So
and Woodland probably starts at 30 on a first round leader, and so I may go.
Yeah, he got him at Bovada at 22. So you might be able to get better when you get when 5 Dimes comes out with it, because they sometimes have better first round leader odds. But
and I'll have all my picks and matchups and everything out by Wednesday.
Awesome.
Normal.
Yep. And so we'll obviously have those out on Wednesday. We'll go through them. If you have questions on the Emergency 9, gupscorner.com. One thing we did want to mention is the one and done this year does not start until the Sony Open. So there's no one and done this week like there was last year, which I think is awesome, actually, to be honest. So
yes.
You still have time to sign up through the one and done through Sunday. So while you're watching golf on Thursday, you're going to get that fancy for golf. We are going to pass last year's numbers. So
Yes.
get your one and done entries. You can have up to 3 entries. Gup, I know that you wanted to announce something about that one and done as well. So go ahead.
Yeah, and you can find that at obviously our website. There's links there.
Thank you.
Our Twitter, Gup's Corner Twitter, Josh's Twitter at GWBuffalo7. There's links everywhere. If you can't find it, and you'd be surprised how many emails and messages there are, people saying, I can't find the link. I don't, and I honestly don't know how that's humanly possible, but they're out there. So you got till Sunday. So that's great. GC Cup just does start this week. Just a reminder. So if you're in that, I believe Josh sent those out earlier today. So make sure you get your lineups in on DraftKings for those contests. I did a little promo, push a one and done and GC Cup. We started out with giving away 1 GC Cup and 2 one and dones. Was hoping for 200 retweets, and by the end of it, we had 4. Well, as of when I pulled these winners, 483 retweets and 459 comments. So, huge thank you to you guys.
That's great.
Massive.
Big support from the community. Appreciate that. So we're going to give out 4 winners for the one and done. You have to contact Josh at GWBuffalo7, get all that situated, and he's the one that runs it. It's his show. Winner number 1 is at Ryan Mass. It's RYANMAAS is the Twitter handle. Winner number 2, Twitter handle is at Tilterstom, TILTERSTOM. Winner number 3 is at 7 Golf Guy. So the number 7 GOLFGUY. And our last winner is G Palatas, I guess. GPLATAZ. So if you're one of those 4, reach out to us. We'll get you connected with Josh, so you can get your entry. And if you already are entered in it, like I mentioned last week, we can either comp you, or you can, if you hadn't done 3, you can get up to 3. Gups Corner is providing those for you guys. So good luck. It'll be fun this year. The platform is going to be sick. Can't wait for you guys to see it Sunday. Just a reminder, kind of the word's out there, but if you're lived in a cave or hadn't turned on Twitter or pod, that our premium service that we mentioned on the preview pod, and then I put out a letter, will start February 4th. So you still have this week plus 4 more weeks to enjoy everything, test it out, trial, free. Nothing's changing. Have received an amazing amount of support. Honestly, had no idea that we would get so much support for it. So that's exciting to hear the community understanding our vision and mission and what we're trying to do to better the product, better the brand, and better what we're doing. So a few questions that have come up are, can we start the Slack channel now? Well, no, because we don't have anybody to sign up. So that's it. When you sign up, you're going to get access to that. And so if we try to do it now, just get messy. Are we going to take anything away until then? No, everything we do is going to be just as if we were already on our mind. We kind of already are in premium mode. We're not going to charge for it until February 4th, which is the day after the Super Bowl. When will sign up start? Not sure yet. Hoping that week of the Waste Management and Super Bowl, we'll have the access all ready to go. We just stay in tuned. Twitter and everything else, we'll have plenty of announcements. Very smooth transaction. If you're already a member, you'll stay a member as a free account, so you have access to the contest, the pods, all that stuff. If you're not a member, then you'll be able to sign up at that point and be free. If you want to sign up now, go ahead. You'll be registered as a free user, and then on February 4th or when we turn it on, it'll prompt you to make your first payment. Just a last reminder is our early bird special from February 4th through Sunday at Augusta will be $6.99 a month or $69 a year, and it's locked in for 2 years, 2019 all the way through December 31st of 2020. Our standard price is $9.99 and $99 a month. So jump on now. You get basically 2 months to get in on that offer, and you're locked in. Great value to take care of there. And that's a thank you from us. We want to give everybody that's a loyal follower and community member a chance to get in at the lowest rate we'll ever offer. We won't go lower than that. We may have specials after that, but it won't be lower than that. So hope you guys join us for that. But it's exciting. We're looking forward to it. Stay tuned for some more messages for that.
All righty. Bucks, did you have anything you wanted to really bring up before we hop off here?
All I want to say was we truly appreciate all of the support from the subscribers, the fans, the people getting into all of the contests. It's been an overwhelming outpouring of support. So we just want to say thank you from the entire GC team. Looking forward to having an incredible 2019 season, and obviously kicking it off here with the Tournament of Champions.
Yeah, I don't have much else to add except for we're at 1,515 one and done entries as of right now. That number has been going up really rapidly. We'll get up there closer to 2,000. So get in now. It'll be massive. So it's really fun. Gup, did you have anything that you wanted to add at the end here?
No, just kind of went through all that as announcements. Definitely, if you hadn't had time, check out the contest selection and bankroll management pod. There's been great feedback on that. A lot of people appreciate those. They're short. They're to the point. There's been some great talks about that. We'll mention that a little more in the chat too if you join us there. It's just the tip of the iceberg on some of the educational stuff. That will be kind of all we release until we go premium. But we wanted to give everybody a chance to kind of hear some of the angles and the next level stuff we're going to go into for 2019. So check those out. This is the time you need to sit down. And I started doing it last night on the plane. I started bankroll management and everybody kind of knows my documentation of 2018. I literally am starting 2019 the same bankroll I started 2018 with. So just because I had a historical year and won a ton of money in golf doesn't mean anything for this year. That's the past, and that you guys need to take your time to set up your own bankrolls, not only in DraftKings, but betting. Betting's become such a big deal. As I mentioned, the industry's picking it up, which is great because we don't have to root against each other in betting. We're just trying to beat the books. So, but you got to have bankroll management for all that. So it's huge. Make sure you know what you're playing and your volume, and looking forward to it. We'll see you Wednesday night. I'm excited for golf chat. Football chat was great, but I just think we always say over and over, there's no sweat like golf. We don't get the cut sweat this week, but still the 4-day tournament round is, we're excited for it. I'm ready to get back into it.
Yeah, we will have some other articles coming out this week from members of our team too. So check those out as the week goes on, and join us at the Emergency 9 chat on Wednesday. Until next time, I hope you all pick your contest well, pick your players well, and hope you all have green screens. Second to mine, hopefully. But but I don't have much else, Gup. Guys, thank you very much. We look forward to hopefully next week we're going to be live on YouTube.
Yes.
We're working on that, so we'll gather some questions live next week as well. So if you'll join us live next week, should be around midday. We'll put out a time when we're going to come on live too, to not just throw it on people. We will put out that time. Until next time, guys. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time.